Comprehensive Overview of The Prince, by Niccolò Machiavelli, translated by W.K. Marriott. Introduction. First published posthumously in 1532, The Prince stands as one of the most influential works in political theory and realpolitik. Penned by Niccolò Machiavelli, a diplomat and philosopher of the Italian Renaissance, and translated masterfully by W.K. Marriott, the treatise offers pragmatic, often controversial advice to rulers about how to achieve and maintain power. The book's enduring reputation comes from its unvarnished analysis of power dynamics, its rejection of idealism in favor of realism, and its candid, sometimes ruthless, recommendations for political leaders. Historical context. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote The Prince during a period of intense political instability in Italy. The Italian peninsula in the early 16th century was fragmented into numerous city-states, duchies, and kingdoms, all vying for dominance. Florence, Machiavelli's native city, experienced repeated upheavals, including invasions from France and Spain, the rise and fall of the Medici family, and internal betrayals. Machiavelli himself served as a high-ranking official in the Florentine Republic, giving him direct insight into the workings of politics and diplomacy. After the Medici returned to power and Machiavelli lost his position, he penned The Prince, ostensibly as a guidebook for Lorenzo de' Medici, hoping to win back favor. Structure and purpose. The Prince is structured as a practical manual rather than a philosophical treatise. It comprises 26 chapters, each tackling a specific aspect of political power, its acquisition, maintenance, and potential loss. Machiavelli's tone is direct and unsentimental, shunning abstract principles in favor of concrete, historical examples. He addresses his work to those who understand, hoping to instruct new rulers in the art of governance, especially in times of crisis and transition. Types of principalities and rule. Machiavelli opens with a classification of principalities. States or territories ruled by a prince. He distinguishes between hereditary principalities, where power is passed down through generations, and new principalities, where power is acquired through conquest, fortune, or ability. Each type presents unique challenges. Hereditary principalities are easier to maintain because of established institutions and loyal subjects, but new principalities require cunning, adaptability, and sometimes force to sustain authority. He further subdivides new principalities into completely new states and those annexed to an existing ruler's domain. Machiavelli explains that completely new states are harder to govern due to unfamiliarity and resistance, while annexed territories can be easier if the conqueror understands their customs and addresses their grievances. The role of arms and military force. One of Machiavelli's central arguments is that a prince must possess his own military forces rather than rely on mercenaries or auxiliaries. He is scathing in his assessment of hired soldiers, who he considers unreliable, self-interested, and prone to switch allegiances. Instead, a ruler should cultivate a loyal, native army. Military power is not just a tool of defense but a foundation of political stability. Without it, all other virtues are meaningless. Virtù and Fortuna. Machiavelli famously introduces the concepts of Virtù and Fortuna as twin pillars of successful rule. Virtù refers not to traditional moral virtue but to a prince's ability, strength, cunning, and decisiveness. It encompasses courage, intelligence, adaptability, and ruthlessness, qualities that enable a ruler to shape events. Fortuna, on the other hand, represents luck or fortune, the unpredictable forces beyond human control. Machiavelli argues that while fortune governs half of human affairs, the other half is subject to human agency. The most successful princes are those who possess enough virtù to seize opportunities and mitigate the whims of fortune. He uses the metaphor of a river. Fortune is like a flooding river, but a wise ruler prepares by building defenses in advance. On cruelty and clemency, love and fear. One of the most debated sections of The Prince is Machiavelli's treatment of morality. He contends that rulers should not be bound by conventional ethics if those standards endanger the state. He famously asserts that it is better for a prince to be feared than loved, if he cannot be both, but never hated. Fear is a more reliable motivator than love, as people are fickle and self-interested, while fear of punishment is constant. However, Machiavelli cautions against unnecessary cruelty. He argues that cruelty, if used judiciously and swiftly, can secure order and loyalty, while excessive or arbitrary violence breeds resentment and instability. The prince must strike a balance. He should appear merciful, faithful, humane, and religious, but be prepared to act contrary to these virtues when circumstances demand. The art of deception. Machiavelli is often associated with political cunning and duplicity. He advises princes to master the art of deception, to appear virtuous while concealing their true intentions. He draws on the example of Cesare Borgia, who skillfully manipulated alliances and eliminated rivals to consolidate power. According to Machiavelli, the appearance of integrity is essential for public support, but a prince must not hesitate to act immorally when the state's security is at stake. Maintaining power and avoiding hatred. Securing power is only half the battle. Maintaining it requires ongoing vigilance. Machiavelli offers detailed prescriptions for managing conquered peoples, dealing with nobles and subjects, and neutralizing internal threats. He recommends that a prince win the loyalty of the populace, as popular support is a bulwark against conspiracies and foreign invasion. Machiavelli distinguishes between actions that inspire fear and those that breed hatred. The former can be useful, but the latter is dangerous, as it leads to rebellion and plots. A wise prince avoids confiscating property or dishonoring women, as these are the chief causes of popular resentment. Foreign policy and alliances. The prince does not neglect international relations. Machiavelli advises rulers to be wary of alliances, which can entangle them in unnecessary conflicts or empower future rivals. He is skeptical of treaties, which are only as strong as the parties' self-interest. Instead, a prince should cultivate a reputation for strength, decisiveness, and reliability, intervening abroad only when it serves his interests. Religion and morality. Though Machiavelli was personally religious, the prince is striking for its secular, almost amoral tone. He sees religion as a tool for political ends, useful for uniting the populace and legitimizing authority. The prince should appear pious and uphold religious observances, but not be constrained by them if they conflict with the needs of the state. Historical examples and case studies. Throughout The Prince, Machiavelli draws on a wide range of historical examples: ancient Rome, contemporary Italian politics, and notable figures such as Alexander the Great, Ferdinand of Aragon, and Cesare Borgia. These case studies illustrate his principles in action, lending credibility and practical relevance to his arguments. The final chapters. Italy's plight and Machiavelli's appeal. In the concluding chapters, Machiavelli turns from general advice to a passionate plea for Italian unity. He laments the peninsula's division and vulnerability to foreign powers, urging Lorenzo de' Medici to seize the opportunity for greatness by liberating Italy from foreign domination. This patriotic appeal reflects Machiavelli's hope that his teachings might inspire a new, revitalized leadership capable of restoring Italian glory. Legacy and influence. The Prince has had a profound impact on political thought, earning both admiration and infamy. The term, Machiavellian, has entered common parlance as a synonym for cunning, ruthless, and pragmatic politics. While some have condemned the book as a handbook for tyranny, others recognize it as a realistic assessment of the complexities of power. Machiavelli's separation of politics from ethics, his emphasis on results over ideals, and his focus on human nature have influenced thinkers from Thomas Hobbes to Friedrich Nietzsche. Leaders across centuries, both despots and reformers, have drawn lessons from its pages. Conclusion. The Prince endures not because it offers easy answers, but because it confronts the uncomfortable realities of political life. Machiavelli's insights into power, human nature, and leadership remain as relevant today as they were in the tumultuous world of Renaissance Italy. W.K. Marriott's translation brings these ideas vividly to life, preserving Machiavelli's clarity, urgency, and wit. Whether read as a manual for rulers or a meditation on the dark side of politics, The Prince continues to provoke, challenge, and illuminate the perennial struggle for power.